Hey guys, well today I'm sharing with you the brand new foundation from CoverGirl. This is the CoverGirl Outlast Stay Luminous. So many of you are familiar with the original Outlast. Many of us love it. So this is a luminous formula. It says Natural Glow Foundation. I am in the normal shade as I normally wear the original Outlast. So my shade is 825, which is buff beige. The packaging is exactly the same, meaning the lid, the glass bottle, the pump, it just has a different color writing and a different color pump. And like most foundations, it is 1 fluid ounce. Now I found this at my local CVS. They seem to be the first people around me that have the new CoverGirl makeup. There are some other products coming out, but so far I've only been able to find the mascara, the supersizer, and this. There are some lipsticks and things coming out, so be on the lookout for that. And then as far as just the claims on the back, it says give skin even coverage and natural glow that lasts all day. So I know many of you have trouble with the original Outlast, and a lot of you with dry skin say it looks cakey, you can't wear it. I really like that foundation. It's great for like it lasting all day. That's definitely a plus. Sometimes in the winter, I get what you mean. Like it can be a little drying, a little cakey looking when my skin is a little drier. What I found out about this after using it several times, and I'll definitely cut to the demo here in a minute so you can see for yourself, I found the application to be really similar as to the original as far as the texture, how it applies. However, I've kind of went back and forth as far as coverage. I actually don't know if it has quite as much coverage as the original, and I'm going to compare it to the original because that's just the natural thing to do with them coming out, you know, the exact same bottle, the same name. It's just a Stay Luminous. It's a luminous formula where the other one isn't. The other one actually even says shine free on it. I did take some notes here each day, so I kind of remember to tell you. Hours later, it still feels sticky after application. So if you don't powder, you know, and I've tried this different ways as I'm testing out a foundation. If you don't powder initially, it feels like it never truly sets. Now, it doesn't break down or anything. That is one thing. It definitely lasts, so it has the lasting power of the original. I found it to last all day with no problems. Doesn't break up anywhere on me, so it lasts a long time. So I'm just gonna take a little bit, 2 pumps on the back of my hand. Let's see what it looks like there. This consistency is the same as the original. I'm just using the beauty blender and, you know, starting like normal. Kind of went back and forth with coverage. Sometimes I feel like it's the same as the original, and then other times I don't know if the coverage is quite as much. It might be like not quite as much, like a little bit lighter coverage. I don't know. Like I said, I've kind of went back and forth with that thought. It's probably been a few months since I've used the original, but I know people you know, are going to ask how it compares. So that's kind of why, you know, I'm mentioning that. Okay, so this is just one layer. And you can see, I can still see a lot of my discoloration over here. Same thing with over here. I'm usually pretty red, like old acne scarring here. Around my nose. So to me, I definitely want a little more coverage than this. So I am going to put probably about like a half of a pump. I still had like a tiny bit left over from when I first squirted it out. And I'm just going to try to build it up in some of the areas that I want a little more covered. So for me, that's always kind of around my cheek and my nose area. Sometimes like this area right here. So I'm going to just start out on the cheek, kind of spread that around both sides, work it in. I'm just kind of using what's left over to go around the other areas. I've not really added, I'm not taking away any more from my hand. Okay, so there's with that extra little half a pump. So I can tell you from me, I'm gonna look in the mirror here and talk a little bit. I can still see a lot of the sunspots. As far as like it generally like kind of gets rid of most of the discoloration and evens out, you know, a little bit. And I don't mind seeing some things through, but some of them are a little showing through more than I'd like. This one, I feel like kind of, I don't know, kind of emphasizes this right here where I'm starting to get fine lines and wrinkles. And kind of like around here, and it kind of, I don't know, emphasizes a little bit of pores right here. So I feel like all this area, which is my problem area anyway, I've always said, it's like it needs a little more coverage and a little more smoothing out. Hopefully you can see, I'm going to turn my head side to side. It definitely has a little bit of a glow to it. It's not like real shimmery, or there's no like glitter particles or anything like that in it. But it's definitely not flat on the face. But it feels a little tacky at first application. Like for me immediately, like I feel like by now as I've been talking, it should kind of dry down already, but it still feels like the initial application, like a little tacky just to feel it. And definitely where I put the second application, it's weird because it feels tacky like you have a ton of makeup on, but yet it doesn't look like you have a ton of makeup on. So for those of you that only need like one application of foundation, you don't have a lot to cover, you know, this is going to be perfect for that. If you want to keep building it up, just keep in mind it might feel a little tacky. You probably need to set with powder. It does feel somewhat matte when applying it, even though it's a luminous finish. Keep this in mind. When you're applying it, to me, it has the same feel and texture as the original. Like, it feels matte. It somewhat looks matte on the skin as far as the texture of the foundation. The finish is what is different. The finish with this being luminous is what you're going to see the difference. Where the other was more of a natural or a matte finish, this is definitely luminous, so that, like I said, when you turn your head, it's not flat. You definitely see that glow. But as far as the consistency of the foundation, I find them to be the same. So if you're someone with dry skin, you found the other one hard to apply or cakey, I have a feeling you're going to find that with this as well, because again, it's only the finished, the final look on your skin, that glowy factor that seems to kind of be the difference. With this, however, I found it to be very natural, very pretty looking. My issues, however, are in the T-zone. It's not necessarily that I would get oily, but it looked oily later in the day. So definitely like right here, right beside my nose, and definitely my chin. Later in the day, I found myself like wanting to blot because it looked oily. However, there wasn't really anything coming off in the tissue because it is like a longer wearing foundation, but it just looked that way. And it definitely, as the day went on, would like draw attention to pores on my chin and make them look pretty big. So I don't like it for that. It's almost like I need the original in my T-zone and the luminous for everywhere else. So if you're someone that doesn't have pores or like texture issues, you're not going to have to worry about that. It will probably look gorgeous because it is a really pretty foundation. I do really like it. I'm kind of torn. It's like I really do like the finish, but yet it kind of brings attention to a few places that I don't like. So then I might need to powder or wear a different foundation in those areas. So as far as coverage, again, I need definitely a good 2 applications like in this kind of area. This is where like I have a lot of hyperpigmentation, old acne scarring. So I definitely need a little bit more there, but you can build it pretty easy. I don't think you're ever going to truly get full coverage from this. Again, full coverage is kind of relevant depending on your skin type, what issues you have going on. If you don't have a lot going on, this may totally be full coverage for you. So final thoughts, normal combination skin. I think, you know, you'll probably really like this foundation. Just keep in mind, you may look a little oily because of the luminous finish. Oily skin girls, you should already know, stay away from anything that says luminous because it's just going to attract that, make you look oily, even if you're not. So if you're oily and adding something luminous on top of it, that's just a bad combination. Dry skin, this could be tricky. It really is going to depend how dry you are. The luminous finish of it may help disguise that somewhat. I just don't want you going into it thinking this is a completely different formula because it does have a lot of similarities to the original, but the finish is very pretty. So I hope that was somewhat helpful and not too confusing, but those are just, you know, my honest thoughts going into it on who this might work for and what I'm seeing on my own skin. Let me know if you guys have tried this out or if you plan on trying it out, and as always, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.